Stand for the pledge of allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America, to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. And all these beautiful faces for joining us tonight. It's nice to see so many people here, and to those who are tuning in remotely, I thank you also. Michelle, do we have any agenda changes this evening?
I do have the addition of J, the approval to create an extracurricular club at Waterfront Case. And I did provide the board members with an updated copy of the personnel report with some highlights from changes since Friday.
Is anyone notified that they would like to speak for public comments?
Not here for me.
So, is anybody here wishing to address the board? Okay. Michelle, do we have any communications this evening?
One thing I wanted to bring to the board's attention yesterday, there was an email from Jeff Lewis, BOCES. There is a presentation coming up on November 30th, BOCES campus. Current issues facing boards of education will be the presentation. If any members are interested, there's a November 20th deadline. Just let me know.
Thank you very much. Going right into board and staff reports. Student voice, and I think this is why the majority of people are here this evening, not to listen to us talk.
Hi, I am Rebecca Rhodes, and I am the vocal music teacher at Waterfront High School. And I am so honored to have been invited up to speak with my students. I'm going to let them do most of the talking. This past weekend, both business songs with the Wiley students and myself with students in high school got to participate in the Jefferson Lewis Tri-County, which is all the schools for Jefferson Lewis 2 areas, and it is it's a wonderful gathering of students of bands and choirs, and this year is elementary choir, middle school band, and high school choir, and all said and done, as far as correctly, there was about 350 kids all said and done making music over 3 days. And so they'll let the kids introduce themselves and take over.
My name is Evan Gross. I'm in 9th grade, and I was very excited to go to Bi-County. I did it last year once. It was fun, and it's nice to be able to go and sing with other students that also enjoy singing as much as I do. So,
my name is Addison Charles. I'm in 10th grade, and Bi-County was a wonderful experience, and I was really happy to go, as I attended last year, but I was a freshman, and at that point they were not accepting freshmen. And it was just a wonderful experience. The other students were really nice, and they were all really happy to sing as well as the director was very passionate about. He was, but it was good. It was good.
Hi, I'm Willing Energy. I was so happy I got to go to Bi-County this year. I'm a senior, and so it was my first year doing something like this. It really got me out of my shell. I got to meet so many really nice people and do the thing I love the most, which is singing. And I got to go with my younger sister, who was actually in Wiley, which was really cool.
Good evening, and thank you for inviting us to the student voice portion of tonight's Board of Education meeting. We all are members of Wiley School Ensemble, and we participated this past weekend in the Professor Lewis Teachers Association 1903 Southern County Elementary course. We represent the 26 Wiley students that were invited to perform in a group of 133 total students from all of the school districts in Jefferson and Lewis counties. Hi, I'm Madison Kane, and these are reasons why I like Wiley. I can see friends from different schools and meet new people and make new friends. I get a chance to sing different types of music from different cultures. I stepped outside of my comfort zone when I tried out for a solo and meeting new people can be scary. We got to sing to cool and different instruments. Instead of just the piano, we got to sing the drums and bongos. We got to learn the vocal warm-ups. I got to sing with a big group, and it was super cool because they were all passionate about music. I got to perform in front of my family. I got to see other schools perform. I got to see other schools and their awesome bands. And last but not least, I had a lot of fun with my friends. Good evening. My name is Michelle, and I like Bethany because I got to see all kinds of new noise. Also, I was able to have lots of fun with all my one more thing, the cafeteria has great to-go lunches. Thank you to Miss Marcy for always going back to smile. There were even cartons of milk in those to-go lunches. Lunch beers got lucky cartons that were amazing. Hello, my name is Ivy, and I'm very excited to be here tonight. The main reason I love Bike County is because I made 3 new friends from 3 different schools. Also, thank you to our first student bus drivers, Ms. Roser, Ms. Story, and Mr. Spalding for making sure we were timely, safe, and well cared for on our journey. Also, I thank you to Ms. Rauderman, our first student manager, and Ms. Navy, our Watertown City School District Transportation. Hello, everybody. My name is Luke Bucket. I am one of the few people who are in Bike County. One reason I love Bike County was because I got to see my friends over the weekend. Another reason I love Bike County was because I got a chance to sing with other schools and be mixed up with kids from other schools. And also thank you to the sponsors for spending time over the weekend just to listen to us sing. Hello, my name is Angela, and I'm very lucky to be here with you tonight. I really love Bike County because I got to skip a whole day of school. Another reason is because I got to witness my friends get asked out by a person. Hashtag not happening. Thank you, Ms. Vaughn, for taking time off for us to do what we love to sing. Hello, everyone. My name is Ashton Stephanie, and I am really happy to be here right now. One week in Bike County was fun because I was able to be next to people I didn't know, which meant I was forced to make a new friend. Another reason is Mr. Marconi sung all kinds of vocal warm-up on the bus with us. He's quite the singer. Finally, it was great because I didn't have to do any schoolwork for the whole entire day. Thank you, Ms. Bond, for taking the time for us to sing. Yeah. Hi, my name is Giovanni Nagel, and Bike County was fun because I got a chance to sing in front of like a bajillion people. It was my favorite part. The snacks were the best part because they were good. And my second favorite was meeting new people and doing what kind of comforts me besides making art. And it was fun for the most part. And the snacks were good, but I'm not done. But the most serious thing on this list is that I learned new songs, and I could ignore my brother even more. And I enjoyed Bike County because we got to interact with other students from other schools And we also got to sing in harmony with all different kinds of voices. Not only that, but we also worked with a fantastic conductor from the Indian River Central School District, Ms. Sarah Cole. Was terrific, and we loved the music she chose for us to perform. Hi, my name is Stella Father. I love Guy County for a lot of reasons. One reason was because of chaperones, but which is surprised now. Speaking of chaperones, thank you to our amazing chaperones, Mrs. Horton, Mrs. G, Mr. Marcolini, and Mrs. Babcock. We appreciate you taking great care of us. I really enjoyed the music and had great messages. Lastly, I met someone from a different county that I would never have met if it wasn't for this opportunity.
Hi, you just saw me with the high school, but I am speaking for my younger sister, Ella G, because sadly she got sick and couldn't be here tonight. But she wanted you guys to know that she liked County because she got to meet a bunch of new friends and she got to spend the day with me, her big sister.
Thank you for watching us in our giving department.
Well, I'll be honest. Yeah, I'm very partial because the music district right here in Watertown changed my life. And I see myself in you, and music has the ability to bring people together and create happiness. And just like so many of you said, make new friends. And I think it's wonderful. And if there was one thing I could do different, I would have pursued it as long as I could. So I want you all to promise me that you'll continue pursuing it while after high school is over. Promise?
Oh,
Go ahead, Doug.
I have a little request. It's gonna be very challenging, but we'll see if you guys can do this. Is there a song that all of you can sing for us now?
no.
Definitely not bring the happy.
Is there a song that some of you can sing together for us? Because I'd love to hear how you guys sound.
No, I know. That was too hard. No, not that.
It doesn't matter if it's not perfect.
Someone sing.
Let me ask you this, was it recorded? Yes. Is it too much to ask that maybe we could see a recording of it? Is that fair?
Yes.
That's all right? All right, now remember, I just saved all of it.
Sing it. Sing it, I think.
Can we get two of you to sing? There at least can start agreeing. You can start. You got a lot of it, right? You got a lot of it.
There you go.
As in May, these doctors. I. Importance. Luke Buckley. Andrew. Aston. Giovanni Alexander Schlegel III. Berlin. Stella. And Ella's bigger sister.
That was very nice to do this in person.
Yes.
Evan. Addison. Lillian representing herself. I did one more round. We look forward to seeing the video. Good news is.
I go on the video and we will right now.
I don't know, I've seen both. I think they were both pretty good.
So here's the good news is that this is the part where you guys get to go and meet. You don't have to stay for the rest of the meeting, but we so appreciate you taking the time. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Sing the German. Me and Lily can sing the German.
Evan's like, no,
Thank you so much.
They did not want to.
I want to try this. Thank you so much for having me.
Taste your water.
Thank you. Yeah, probably.
Thank you, Karen, for sharing your.
Thank you.
Thank you all.
All right, up next with a very tough act to follow. The FAF committee report, Mr. Cully Dozier.
I will do my best to be that exciting. Yes, we just met, finance, the meeting, started out with Brian giving an update on capital project. High school is about 95% complete. Change over. Wiley, excuse me, is, good news, moving back partially next week. With the temporary walls coming down, things back to normal there. Chiller's being delivered the 21st. High school is working on doors, with auto closures. It takes some getting used to. With case being done over the summer, a couple minor glitches on these locations. We also talked about status of the vaping sensors in high school. And then, Professor Schaefer from Quasar gave us internal audits virtually. for the 2022-2023 that was done past June on the informational technologies report. The observations were given, a couple requirements by New York State, things that had to be posted, are now posted. And then, a couple of, let's see, actually 4 others: Envision system, Frontline IP Direct network, and school tools. There were active members that shouldn't have been, that were all corrected during the time of the audit. So nothing really to report on that. And she advised us that the next audit will be in June, and we are currently selecting a topic for such audit.
Sounds like really good things. Good. Superintendent support, Dr. Larry Schmiegel.
Thank you and good evening, everyone. Thank you for those that are able to be here in person. Thank you for those who are able to participate virtually. We had our second round of Student Advisory Council meetings that were absolutely phenomenal. We began, our students first identified some priorities that they would like the district to focus on. These include students in middle school and in high school. There were 24 students in total. So they had an opportunity to look at the list that they presented the first month, revise it. There was some shifting of priorities that they wanted to focus on. So we moved that around. And moving forward, our hope is actually to bring those topics back to the students and allow them to unpack and be a part of the problem-solving committee. We also had the opportunity to host our teacher advisory council, and we did the same thing with them, and we prioritized some areas in the district that we would like to focus on. Moving beyond that brings us up to next Tuesday. So on November 14th at 6 p.m. in the district office, we're going to try to use the boardroom, but depending on the participation, we may move the meeting down to the Wiley cafeteria. However, on the 14th, what we are using is Dr. Slater, who retired with South Jeff, and he is helping us facilitate this process. We identified through the 7 stakeholder groups a list of 22 areas that people would like to focus on. What we need to do as a large group, bringing all of those stakeholder groups together, is focus on those 4 priorities. And so that will be taking place next week. And then we'll be moving to a smaller group of 15 or less to do this once we identify what the district priorities are going to be. And a smaller group, trying to make sure that each group is represented, those 7 stakeholder groups, just in a smaller form. We're going to look at identifying some objectives and some goals so that our strategic plan is measured. So that will be taking place next week. On to the milk cards. And I was appreciative that one of our students included that from Bi County, the milk carton initiative. And so we were under the impression that we were not going to have milk cartons as of today. That was not the case, as our director of food service and her staff were able to secure some additional milk cartons. However, the plant that makes the milk cartons burned down. And so we are looking at a milk carton shortage until the end of February is when they're predicting. And so our plan as a district, I spoke with my colleagues in other districts around the region. Some districts are moving towards water and milk-less products. We want to try to have a balance. We want to include milk as much as we possibly can, with the understanding that our milk is going to be coming in the form of gallons. And we're going to have to pour them, put lids on them. Some of our cafeterias are staffed, and Tina can correct me here. Our cafeterias, our smaller elementary schools are staffed with 1 or 2 individuals. So it is going to be a time-consuming product, but to make sure that our kids have cups. At the elementary level, they will be cups. They will have lids, and we have ordered straws so that kids can continue to drink milk. We will probably at lunch try to substitute as much as possible. The state has given a waiver to allow us some flexibility on allowing more juice products or water products at lunch if we are not able to satisfy the milk need. We are slightly concerned that there may be a shortage of the plastic containers that they put milk in. So for the gallons of milk that we will be ordering. So we'll be working with our best. Our food service director is on point. They worked through COVID, working very hard to make sure that our students were fed appropriately and those needs were met. So we plan on doing the same thing with this challenge. The next thing I wanted to mention was Bi County. I had the opportunity to participate in that last Saturday. Our students did, I know they were a little shy today. They did an outstanding job representing not only the county, counties, but also the district as a whole. The power of our music programs. When I sat at Wiley, I did some listen and learns with students last year. And one of the things I recall from my interview with students at Wiley was the power of music and the power that music has to transform their life. And for some of them, it was the reason why they came to school. And to see that in action and to see our music teachers go out of their way to make sure that they, afford our students these opportunities, even when they are on the weekends, was just truly inspiring to see. And we'll try to make sure that the board gets those videos. Last week, on Thursday and Friday, I attended conferences in a place that made me motion sickness to get to. About 15 minutes past Adirondack, I didn't realize how windy the roads were. Bow 9 is going to be in my palette, at least before I go there next year. But in any event, the training was absolutely amazing. And so we don't participate with BOCES legal services aside from the contract negotiations. And our BOCES, did an absolutely outstanding, amazing job on the first day of that training, giving us a legal debrief. And the amount of notes are too many to mention here, but a lot of things that we can be ahead of having our BOCES on top of those legal briefings. The second day, we were presented with mental health, and it's something that we as a district are working towards. Lynn's going to speak about this in her presentation, but we are working towards youth mental health first aid. That was something else that as we were listening to our students last year and listen and learn, they said we need a larger focus on mental health. And so we've got that focus with all of our staff this year. But that second day of that training was spent with, most of you will know this name, Dr. Rubenzoll, and I hope I'm not badgering his name. He did an absolute amazing job on that second day, focusing on the staff mental health. And, in our strategic plan that expired in June of 2023 that we're working to rewrite, that focus was on students, but also staff. And so it is our hope to invite him to our district to do a presentation for staff. He covered different breathing techniques and focusing on what's in your circle, out of your circle, a lot of things that I think are powerful. But at the end of the day, it kind of reminded me of our students. Sometimes our students require visual aids to kind of cue them on different tasks. And I think what we're looking at mental health when we get into the routine of our daily routine, and we have things that are kind of hitting us left, right, forwards, backwards. Sometimes you forget some of the techniques that Dr. Rubenzoll shared. And I think if we can put more visual cues within the organization to remind adults and remind kids of things that we need to process, I think that would be very helpful. And it would show that we have an emphasis on mental health. From the student side, I'm going to tie into our last student council, our student advisory meeting. There was a student that said, sometimes there are behavioral things that happen and we have to evacuate the room so that the teacher team can take over and address a student disciplinary matter. And the particular girl that was speaking said, we were asked to leave and then we go back and we go right back to teaching. What we know is that we need to give students an opportunity to, in a confidential kind of way, because there's confidential information that's happening during that disturbance. But there's an opportunity that we have to afford kids to talk through what they're observing. We know that kids lack coping strategies and mechanisms. So giving kids an avenue and opportunity to practice those skill sets is going to be critically important to move our district forward with the mental health component, but allow us to address the academic deficiencies that Lynn presented at the last board meeting. And that concludes my report for this evening.
Thank you so much. Assistant Superintendent for Instructions, Lynn Gaffin.
It continues to be a pleasure to work in this district with so many educators who put our students first. I'll go through a list of things that I've been working on in the last month. On October 10th, I met with our Technology Integration Committee to discuss how we can continue to leverage technology to support instruction. On the very same day, I met with our district's librarians who are working very diligently at each of our buildings to support students, but also teachers. On October 12th, I met with our ENL department who continue to support our English language learners. English is a new language, and we have a good sized population of students that are ENL. On October 17th, I met with our attendance committee. We are promoting better attendance through public service announcements. We have another one coming up. And other initiatives. Our attendance this year, right now, to date, I just checked it before I came in here, was 92%. up from 89% at this time last year. On October 23rd, I met with our professional learning committee that is composed of faculty members, and Randy is graciously serving on that. Our goal will be to develop a comprehensive set of professional development opportunities for our educators that will ultimately benefit our students. On October 24th, our One District, One Book Committee met and has chosen books for this year's program, so we're in the process of ordering those. I serve on SUNY Potsdam's Teacher Advisory Committee, and I met with them on October 25th, and they are looking to expand their online teaching degree program, so this is good for us for our teacher pipeline in the area.
Can I ask that one? So, Dan, last name, president of JCC, Doobie, at that conference, we also spoke with him to see what they can do at JCC to build that teacher pipeline.
Very important. On October 30th, the intervention team met to continue looking at the district's intervention plan. This was just put in place this fall, and we have to continue to monitor closely and make adjustments as needed. On October 31st, Dr. Schneegel mentioned this, we had youth mental health first aid training from Ann Garno from the North Country Prenatal Perinatal Council, and she will be back one more time to give us the last part of that training.
And that puts us right now for staff. We have 4 hours invested in the youth mental health first aid training.
I met with our high school scheduling committee yesterday to give the committee's final recommendations for the 24-25 schedule. It may seem early for that, but that'll give the administrators and the guidance counselors time to work through all the details of getting that schedule in place. Today, I met with our wonderful clerical staff to discuss the impact aid survey and attendance letters. Our principals, assistant principals, and instructional coaches are meeting with me regularly to focus on instructional leadership and continuous school improvement.
I have a couple of questions for you, Lynn. I'm not sure if you know the answer to this, but there's a specific date in October that we have to report to the state our total number of enrollment.
It's the first Wednesday in October.
Okay, do you know what that number was that we reported?
Not top of my head, but I can get it for you.
Okay,
Yes,
I'd like to know that. And the other thing is, I think I brought up not the last couple of meetings about, we talked about, you know, the 5th period had been taken away at the high school. And so we had implemented some tutoring with some certified teachers and also opening up the lab, all math lab. Which I think is a great asset in helping students. Obviously, the goal here is to achieve good scores on our state testing. My question is, are these, so if we identify, do we identify those high school students that are deficient in math, and are they obliged or mandated to attend math lab, or is math lab strictly voluntary?
So math lab as it stands now is strictly voluntary. We do identify students that might have deficiency in their math skills, and we put them into the algebra or other courses that we have some Regents prep courses that might be helpful for them, but we do not mandate that they attend math lab.
So would it be safe to say that we're truly not capturing a segment of students that truly need the help and could benefit from math lab because we're not really mandating and bringing those students in and saying, you have to go to math lab in order to get your grades up, because it's voluntary. And we know, especially in high school, when these kids, you know, when something's offered on a voluntary basis, unless you're really driven, you're really not going to access that resource, unless it's mandated. So I think that, you know, that needs to be addressed at some level, because if we're really going to increase our state scores, then we need to capture as many students as possible and give them the resources that they need to improve their scores.
I agree with you, and that was actually one of the recommendations from the high school scheduling committee.
Perfect.
So we're on the same page with that.
Okay, all right, that's all.
Great. Thank you very much. Assistant Superintendent for Personnel and Student Services, Ms. Tina Lane.
Thank you. So I had the pleasure of attending a series of strategic action plan stakeholder meetings throughout the month of October. We got today, looking forward to continuing our work on November 14th with that group. On October 11th, I met with the grades K through 6 and 7 through 12 pupil personnel services committees. Those consist of our counselors, psychologists, homeschool coordinators, social workers. We discussed the services and curriculum that Pivot provides around the district opportunities and challenges and grade level transitions, especially those between grades 8 and 9. Our work on that will continue. Also had a nurses meeting that day. We talked about cold flu protocols, medical record keeping, our upcoming immunization survey, which is due in the middle of December, and accident reporting. On October 16th, I met with the homeschool coordinators around the district. We meet monthly. We discussed attendance reporting and attendance letters. Mary Hughes and I, the food service director, attended the City of Watertown Job Fair. We were joined by the City of Watertown, Watertown Housing Authority, and the Flower Memorial Library. This was our second venture. We met with some success there. We had a few interviews. So we are looking forward to our next, work with the City of Watertown on the job fair. October 24th, I facilitated a vape cessation committee meeting with a group of stakeholders around the district. We discussed an upcoming survey. We're really excited about a 4-question survey that's going to go out to our community, and we're looking for some good feedback there. Some of the questions include awareness of vape education around our community. What type of format would we like to see, would our community like to see educationally, to focus on the harms of vaping? What do you believe is the most important for your children to learn about vaping? And then, it continues to be a concern. How can we work together? So we're looking forward to getting some good feedback so we can plan professional development for our whole community on that topic. Also, I met with Pivot and with Dr. Schmiegel and a group around the table, Matt Burdick. Then we discussed the prevention needs assessment. It's a survey given yearly to students in grades 7 through 12. It's given to students in school districts around our area. They'll meet with us to debrief. We can follow up. We can do comparisons with local schools. And also the Alliance for Better Communities and Youth Alliance in Jefferson County is really grounded. This is a research-based survey tool that they put out every year. And the data that's generated from it is very valuable to us. We also had vape, this stemmed from the Vape Cessation Committee, but we had an engaging presenter. He was interactive. His name was Rob Howell. He was here November 1st, last Wednesday. He did 3 assemblies, one here at Wiley, one for K students and one for high school. He was dynamic. His topics included how to build your life and make positive marketing messages, big tobacco and vaping, consequences of vaping, why students still choose to vape and smoke, and the science of vaping. So we're looking to get more speakers in to educate our students and also our staff. Also, we're really focusing on that initiative as well. I also had the pleasure of attending the fall sports banquet last Thursday night, November 2nd. We had over 360 student athletes and their family at that event. It was very successful. We had lots of volunteers there. Food was great. We're also currently in negotiations with one of our 7 units on a collective bargaining agreement, and also several interviews over the last month on substitutes, teacher assistants, teacher aides, head custodians, math, teacher substitutes, social studies, and some administrative positions as well, assistant superintendent for finance and operations. So we're looking forward. We're filling positions. We filled really 2 math positions, which is great. Social studies. So we're looking forward to working with our new staff.
Do you have a question?
I do. I have two questions for you. Just on the foot of the mental health in meetings.
Yes.
And I know with Pivot and some of these other organizations, we are providing access mostly to the middle case and the high school. I had a parent reach out to me about a week and a half ago about their child who attends North Elementary. And she is in really, really serious need of some mental health assistance. She had exhausted her avenues through the pediatric office, and so called me and asked me if she actually called me as a provider. She goes to the urgent care, not because I sit on the school board, and asked for my opinion. So I advised her to please go to speak to the principal or assistant principal at North Elementary and share what their personal story is. Now, the good part of the story is that they were able to connect them. However, the bad part of the story is that there's a waiting list.
Yes.
And so this is not new to this community. The mental health resources in this community are definitely substandard. Even though we now have a new mental institution on State Street, the chain and the red tape you have to go to get through those resources are not, welcoming. No, they're not at all. So my concern is that with children specifically, when they get to a point where they really need help, is there anything that we can do, as a district to help facilitate and maybe open up some other avenues for these children at the elementary level? Because mostly talking about, since COVID, we're really focusing more. We have been focusing, not to neglect the elementary, but we really haven't talked about that. So I wanted to bring that to light, if that's something that you.
And I completely hear what you're saying. It is a huge challenge in our community, especially for our young people to get mental health help. We have a really close partnership with North Country Family Health.
Yeah.
So we can sit down. I know they have a waiting list. All of our providers do.
Yeah.
It's hard to find people
That's
to be mental
right.
health providers.
Yep.
But we constantly talk about that in our meetings. So
Okay.
that's something I can talk to the connection there.
Yeah.
Pivot as well to really reinforce the fact that
We
our
really
kids are in
do.
crisis, a lot of them are.
A lot. And the parents are really feel frustrated about that. The second thing I wanted to bring back to the surface is, the last board meeting. She's here tonight. Amy, right? Yes. So the things that she brought to light, and I want to know, you're sitting in a lot of committees and you're really trying to improve the number of resources that we can provide, but what are we moving towards really communicating with our staff and our teachers? And what are we doing to facilitate and provide the services that Amy so bravely shared with the board? I'd like to know what we, where we're with that.
So our Director of Student Empowerment and Success, Matt Burdick, has hit the ground running in the new position. We are looking to increase staffing with behaviors, getting specialists to come in. We're looking at that. We're looking at professional development opportunities for principals in our buildings. We're identifying students who are in dire help and trying to give people the training. So we're really trying to beef up our resources to get this, these issues on to help our kids and to help our teachers. We recognize, their issues. Post-COVID, we're still feeling the real, but you're seeing it in your field as well. We're all seeing it.
Yeah.
So we're trying to provide tools for our teachers to help. Dr. Schmidt, do you have anything to add to that, Lynn?
No, I know we're exploring different things. We've got some inclusion facilitators that we're looking at, some of the like a behavioral specialist. So that's been reaching out to other districts to see what they offer in that realm. To see what we need is what we know that does not work. It works in the interim to allow the staff to feel safe, the other students in the class to feel safe. But what doesn't work as a strategy is just a removal of the student. Because every time they return, you're starting from scratch. And so we need to look at our pre-K transition services. In some of these cases, in some of the buildings, they were kids that received services in pre-K. They're now in kindergarten. They didn't meet that criteria for ESC services. So there's some struggle there. There's some kids, we met with our secretaries today who are an excellent eye and ear of the building. And they identified this same kind of topic. And a lot of the issues are coming from the kids that maybe didn't even attend a formal pre-K program. So we're looking at, through Beth's effort, what can we do to market to bring those kids in earlier? So before they get to kindergarten, we've started meeting some of those needs. One of the secretaries said today in their meeting, they said, we think one of the barriers to kids coming to pre-K is transportation. Lynn's team is working on what can we do to identify some transportation areas that we can meet that need, so it's not a barrier for parents to access that support. And we are leveling the playing field to make sure that kids are ready when they get to kindergarten. So there's a variety of things that we're doing. Is it going to address things in the absolute immediate? I would say probably not. But we're looking at, those at-risk serious behaviors in the immediate. And then what can we do to kind of build that foundation? I will add what Lynn said, and I said earlier, that youth mental health first aid training, that training that staff are getting are building our knowledge base and how we respond to kids that are in crisis. And then how do we take care of our own mental health so that we're able to be there for kids? So it's a multi-pronged approach. And we're definitely working through it, but we are not the only district that is going through this and seeing an increase in mental health needs of students. It's just what are we doing to try to address that and tap in? And I couldn't agree with the comment more than what you said. You know, there's our facilities in our community are 3 to 6 months on a wait list. You know, a parent in crisis wants help now. And to have to wait that many months, and then some parents that aren't able to fill out the very thick packet for the intake to get there. So we have to look at those kind of barriers and maybe just, you know, our homeschool coordinators. Are they able to help the parents or our social workers or counselors that we're building in each of these buildings? Are they able to help level the playing field and sit down with parents and help them fill out that intake paperwork? So that's not one more barrier that parents have to accessing that.
So we only have, I may be wrong about this, but do we only have one school psychologist? We have 6.
5 and 1 intern.
Okay, so are they dispersed throughout the district, the buildings? Okay. So so the kids do have access to the school psychologists and the families do as well. But I'm sure there aren't overload. I'm sure there aren't overload. Well, I think it's important that we keep talking about this and bringing this to light. I think it's important that the community knows that we're listening, and staff and teachers and parents and families know that we are actively doing things to make things a little bit better. But the mental health care in this community, I've practiced medicine for 28 years now. It's a pervasive problem. It has never gotten better. And that at the core of where that lies is the lack of providers. We just don't have the providers to meet the needs of the community. And unfortunately, as a result of COVID, we have even more mental health issues. So thank you for doing everything that you're doing. I think it's important that our community knows that we're working to make things better for them.
Anything else? Thank you. Interim business official, Cecilia Spencer, how are you?
Fine, I'm still a little bit in the data gathering stage. I'm gonna be gearing up towards getting budget preparations started soon. So we'll be talking about that very soon, I'm sure. The report that I've done since I've retired in 2017, the transparency report that was required. I did it every year since I've been retired for various school districts, but it isn't required this year. And that's for the budget, but now the ESSA actual expenditures by building, that's something I've never done. And, you know, it's the same data, but it's not budget, it's actual. So I'm going to be working on that very shortly. It's due at the end of this month. So there's a number of things that, you know, are going to be filling my time in the next couple of weeks, but just still getting acquainted with, you know, the data, because, you know, it's been a number of years since I've been here last, but I'm excited and I'm glad to help out.
Just to let our community know, so Sally joined us to fill in Josh's absence. Josh left us last Friday to move on to another district, and so Sally is joining us as a 30-plus year veteran business official with retiring from Thousand Islands, and she's working with us graciously through BOCES, so we're excited.
We're so happy that you're here. So thank you so much. Thank you. Right. Moving forward, items for consent agenda.
Resolve that consent agenda items A through H are hereby approved.
Can I have a motion, please? A second?
No.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries. Items for board action.
Resolve that the annual audit of the school district is prepared by the firm of Bowers and Company, CPAs, for the period ending June 30th, 2023, and the corrective action plans associated therewith for the following funds: general fund, school lunch fund, federal fund, extra classroom activities fund is hereby accepted and approved.
Can I have a motion, please?
No.
Lily and Lori, any discussion? All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries.
Be it resolved that upon the recommendation of Superintendent of Schools, Dr. Larry Schmiegel, the Board of Education hereby approves the following: resignation, retirements, appointments, probationary instructional, term non-probationary instructional, probationary non-instructional, term probationary non-instructional, provisional, permanent, STEM program, lead teacher, tutor or professor, part-time, substitutes instructional, substitutes non-instructional, winter coaching girls, winter coaching co-ed.
Can I have a motion, please? So, and a second.
John.
Any discussion?
This for Tina, does this put us in a better position for substitutes? I know we're always struggling.
Chipping away, yeah, to put us in a better position. We could always, we welcome people to apply. The interviews are very streamlined, they're online and very convenient, so we welcome people, but this helps greatly.
Tina, would you be able to elaborate the tutor or professor, what subject matters are being covered in that? That's you, sorry, Lynn.
No, no worries. So that is for the, funding that came from the federal government, and that after school tutoring, predated me. It started before I got here. It's in every building, primarily in the areas of ELA and math, although at PACE, there's a hybrid model, so kids just want to get help in homework and other subjects they can, and then high school, it's more guided by what the students need as well.
Okay, thank you.
And when you put this stuff in track, when did you ever find out where they're going to practice?
Supposed to be Watertown High School gym, and then they also practice at OCC. So those were the two places that the coach shared in that.
Numbers, or is it just?
I can provide those to you.
Okay, I'd be
I
curious.
know there are numbers, yes.
Be interested. I know.
I have the phone
Yeah,
numbers.
initially,
Oh, wow, that's great. That's amazing.
Anything else? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolve that upon the recommendation of Dr. Schmiegel, Superintendent of Schools, the paid administrative leave of an instructional employee is in place effective October 25th, 2023.
Can I have a motion, please?
Millie?
Millie, in a second.
Yeah.
Lori, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved that the Watertown City School District Board of Education amends the 23-24 school calendar as follows. January 23rd, 2024 will be a testing only day for grades 9 through 12. Grades K through 8 will have a regularly scheduled day of instruction.
Can I have a motion, please?
John.
A second. John and Kelly, any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Whereas a resolution was passed by the Board of Education on July 5th, 2023, approving the reorganizational consent agenda, and be it further resolved that this amended resolution reflects a change to Sally Switzer as interim business official to be appointed to the position of PL 103-832 officer, Michelle Gravel, district clerk, as the record access officer and records management officer, Jody Delaney as the appointed American with Disabilities 504 Plan Code Coordinator, and the building secretaries as appointed advisors of attendance and are hereby approved.
Can I have a motion, please?
Millie?
Millie, in a second. Lori. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved that the following revised Board of Education policies are hereby approved and adopted. 6303, rights of nursing employees to express preference.
Can I have a motion, please?
John.
And a second. John and Lori. Any discussion?
Yes. This is for a point of clarification. I don't know the answer to this. So I understood when Mr. Adams was here last board meeting and he gave his spiel on board policies, that it would not, the reason why we're omitting some of these policies is because they are otherwise stated in state education law and other sources of law, and we should stray away from creating our own policies, which there can be language barrier or misinterpretation, and it just opens us up for litigation. So my question is, I mean, this policy clearly states that it's regulated by New York State. So I'm wondering if it's superfluous for us to have this policy, or if it's not, then what is our rationale if it's already stated in another place?
So this is a policy, we pay for a policy company to review our policies and tell us what policies we should be updating, discarding, et cetera. This is a policy that we're required to have. Where clearly we have to articulate as a district for mothers that want to express breast milk to identify who they go to first. If they go to the building principal and they don't get what they need to be able to do that they go to Tina Lane. If that doesn't work, then they go to me. So we have to clearly articulate what the path is, so to make sure that they get what they need. So this one is required, and as was recommended by our policy.
Okay, that's all I'm going to know. Thank you.
Anything else? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved that the educational student trips are hereby approved.
Okay, can I have a motion, please? Colleen, a second?
John.
John. Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved that a donation of 2 pallets of canned water from the city of Watertown to the school buildings throughout the district is gratefully accepted and approved and will be acknowledged in writing.
Can I have a motion, please?
No.
Billy, in a second.
Aye.
Lori, any discussion? Go ahead.
I just want to say thank you to the volunteers that helped deliver that water. That was greatly appreciated, and with their help and their donation over the weekend from the city, but also the volunteers, we were able to open up schools and get our kids back in school. So just a big thank you.
Good. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved that a donation from Fusillo Subaru for 13 assorted bags of unopened candy to the H.T. Wiley Intermediate School to be distributed throughout the classes for Halloween celebrations. This donation is greatly accepted and approved and will be acknowledged in writing.
Can I have a motion, please? A second. Colleen, Lori. Any discussion?
Those poor teachers.
We're gonna ask if any of it found its way here this evening. All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Resolved that the formation of an extracurricular club for Watertown High School and Case Middle School bowling club with Kevin Durr as the advisor is hereby approved.
Can I have a motion?
John.
John in a second.
Billy?
Billy, any discussion? Now, hold on, let me just. When I was a junior and senior, I was president of that very club. And I am so happy. If they need like another advisor,
Coach.
I want to be a coach. Yes, I want to be the first person. That's fantastic.
How many schools in our area still have a bowling team?
I don't know.
IHC does.
There's a few, right?
Yeah.
Maybe start a bigger thing. That's what
I always thought the bowling club had the finest athletes that you've ever seen. We were an impressive group. That's fantastic. All those in favor? Any opposed? Motion carries.
That's the end of the resolution.
Amazing. Do we have anyone wishing to address the board for non-agenda related public comments tonight? No. Mr. Kimball.
Dr. Kimball. Just curious, when you have like a world crisis like Hamas and anti-Semitism, do you guys address that in the school district? I'm just curious how you handle that. And essentially, because this summer I was able to go to Safe Haven and Sweet. I don't know if you know what that is.
No.
Safe Haven, believe it or not, in Oswego during World War II, there's hundreds of thousands of people escaping the Holocaust. Hundreds of thousands. In the United States, it took 900. Oswego, 900. That's the only place they went to, which is amazing when you think about how anti-Semitism led to a lot of deaths. And so then, you know, after the Hamas thing, President Biden talked about, you know, people in Dacho Holocaust camps. I mean, obviously people can't always do that, but there is online access to the Holocaust Museum and things like that to really open up the discussion, because it's a horrible situation that we can't ignore that or having anywhere in the world. Just posted by us. We at Cornell University had a major incident where a student got arrested. Probably from when the kid's educational career, probably either arrested, kicked out of college, and it was a terrible thing happening. So, I was fortunate when I was in Watertown, one of my neighbors was Jewish, and so we got a lot of education of Jewish life and all that, but I don't know how you address that. I know I grew up in the 60s, and we talked a lot about Vietnam War and world crises and how to be able to really help my goals, particularly talking about, nonviolent protests.
It is coming up as a matter of current events in the classroom.
Okay,
There's quite a bit that we've done with history with what's gone on between the two factions that you're speaking of. Age appropriate though, of course.
Yeah, of course. Even the Holocaust Museum has age appropriate sections. I mean, they have one, having gone to one in Washington, able to go to, my kids were little, I was able to take them to the less difficult part. Then when the kids were older, you went to the other parts of the Holocaust Museum and it's
part of that critical thinking piece, as Lynn was saying, giving our kids the opportunity to have conversations in a safe instruction environment and allowing them to build their own perception of the information around them and make informed decisions.
yeah. So you don't any prejudice. I mean, whether it be there's so much prejudice, racial, sexual gender, also what's going on in the country now. It's just very difficult. This is what obviously came up now with the war in Israel.
So I think at the core of this, even just at the most fundamental level, we're just talking about pure hatred.
Yeah.
Irrespective of what your religious outlook is, your affiliation to any religion or country, whatever it is, it's just hatred. And you can say hatred from both sides. And I think this is beyond this. You can correct me, Dr. Schmiegel. I think it's probably beyond what we can do, but I can tell you that I have 2 college students and I also have a child in boarding school. And the presidents of those institutions have sent letters out to the families talking about how they are not supporting anti-Semitism or hatred or violence or allowing any groups of students to protest or even express preference to one side or the other, because you can get into harsh debates about who's right and who's wrong. But I think at the core of what needs to be taught to our youth is just hatred. Hating someone because of their skin color, their gender preference, their religious perspective, what country they come from. That is something that is really at the fundamental basis of what's going on in our world. And I think that I'll speak for myself. My personal experience has been that a lot of people have just forgotten about that. And these people went to sleep on October 6th and did not know that on October 7th, their entire life was going to change. The same thing that happened to us on September 10th before 9/11. Okay. Everyone went to sleep that day and didn't think the next day. And I had this conversation with my son and I said, no, if someone would have said to someone on September 10th, guess what? You're going to go work on the 82nd floor of the World Trade Center and a plane's going to crash and you're going to die. You would laugh about it. Like no one would think that's fathomable. So these things are real. And, I think that what we need to start doing, and we probably are already, we need to teach our children that hatred is not acceptable, irrespective of whatever angle you're coming from. The tragedy, my sister is Jewish, and I have someone, when I did volunteer work in Ukraine and I went to Poland, I met a lot of Jewish people, and one of those young men is a soldier at the West Bank right now. I am in communication with him on a daily basis just to make sure he's okay, but it has touched lives all over the world. And I appreciate you bringing that up because a lot of people just don't want to talk about it.
And it comes up school board. I mean, you guys, people, local politicians, you say accepting transgender kids, they're thinking you're pedophile for doing that. They're called pedophiles for accepting transgender kids, or called groomers. That's hate.
I will say, knowing the social studies curriculum like I do, that, the issue of Palestine and Israel is it's taught both from the global perspective in 9th and 10th grade, mostly 10th grade, but also from the US perspective when the kids get to 11th grade. As a civics government economic teacher, my kids have driven a lot of the discussions we've had, and they are asking questions, and we're discussing it in an appropriate manner for, you know, the juniors and seniors that I have, and I would imagine the teachers at Watertown are doing the same. It's a horrible situation, but when we have the opportunity to address what's going on in the real world and our kids are interested, that's kind of a high note for us as history teachers, because they're living through this situation, just like, you know, our previous generations lived through the Cold War and 9/11, and, you know, so.
Vietnam for us, my
Vietnam,
kids,
yeah.
like that.
So we don't shy away from those discussions. A good history teacher, a good civics teacher doesn't shy away from those discussions.
Oh, that's good to hear. Thank you for bringing that up.
Thank you, Dr. Anybody else? Okay. Got some upcoming dates to share with everybody. Friday, November 10th, Veterans Day, so everything's closed in the district. Not everything. Tuesday, November 21st, we have a policy committee meeting at 5 p.m. at Ohio Elementary School. And following that is our 6 p.m. board meeting. Again, it's at Ohio next time. Go around the room, start with Lily.
So I covered most of my stuff, but I do still have 3 things. I wanted to share something really nice that I received from a teacher at Wiley over a week ago, and this is very heartwarming. So she says, I just wanted to send a little positivity your way to share with the board. Students 5 through 12 had the opportunity to listen to a speaker about the harms and effects of vaping yesterday, and he was amazing! Exclamation point. First assembly in forever that was truly engaging, meaningful, and the kids loved it! Exclamation point. I went with Wiley, and my own kids talked about their assembly at dinner last night. Kudos, Watertown City School District. Have the best day. So, you know, she took the time to say that and to say that, and she specifically said, please read it to the board. And Lynn and Tina, I think you were ahead of that, getting the speaker here. So that's kudos to you too. So we really appreciate that, and so do the teachers and the kids. The second thing I'd like to is my understanding is that, and this is as a result of the wonderful performance our students gave us for music. So music, Kevin had said a while ago, is not available to both 7th and 8th graders at Case Middle School. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Correct. So at one point, I know when my children were there, that was a long time ago, they're in college now, that was an option both in 7th and 8th grade. And you appreciate music, I'm a piano player, I appreciate music. I think that we really need to try really hard to bring that back at that level, because that is really where you're capturing the passion for music. And it even starts lower than that. So I think moving forward we really need, music can save lives, just like sports.
Absolutely. We've had meetings, actually some of the initial meetings we had when we got there with those departments to talk about what we can do and kind of address the philosophical differences on the power of music, and that it should be accessible for all kids and not just you're in 7th grade, you get it, 8th grade, you don't, or vice versa.
Right.
So we are on board with exploring that, and we've already started those conversations.
I feel very strong. I mean, everyone in this room knows that I'm an athletic parent. I have athletes in my house, but I am just as passionate as art and music. That is something that, you know, you get introduced to at a very young age, and it does really breed and shape the person that you are. And there's really no reason that we should not be offering that. I have no idea why it went away, but in the spirit of bringing things back, that should be a major priority for all of us.
We don't have partners.
Yeah, art and music should be part of seventh and eighth grade, like there's no,
And to speak to my point, I think they're out of college now, so we don't have that. But art is just passion. All of it, somebody has a passion, something.
Yeah.
We don't have it very often.
Right.
Especially with the mental health. We don't have something for them to reach out to. That's a problem.
that's a
I think Dr. Sheen nailed it, you know, that's the thing that brings some kids into our doors every day.
Yep.
For some kids, that's the reason that they show up.
So somehow that fell to the wayside, and we, you know, it behooves all of us to bring that back. So I wanted to make that point. And, the last point that I'd like to make, which I think is resolved, thank you, Michelle. So there was a problem, and I don't know if everyone on the board knows this, but there was a problem accessing our board policies when you went onto the website for, if you clicked on the link for Board of Education and then you go on to Watertown City School District policies and you clicked on that link, you could not access the policy. So, and you couldn't access it. I guess there was another way to do it that I was unaware of. But anyway, I called Michelle and Michelle rectified that. I looked at it today, definitely can access it. You know, there's, I know you're working on the policy committee, but there is one specific policy where it tells a student to go to a link or a parent, whoever, and that link is not accessible. So we need to rectify that. We are working on it. Okay, good. Because I did forget to follow up on that. So as long as we do that, we're good. So
link, we spoke about and the link was up and running, but it was down for maintenance or something. And then
okay.
Oh, you wanted to find out without me.
it's up and running.
I mean, that's good that we have, you know, they give us, I mean, no one sees it, but we don't know to fix it. But I'm glad that we're on top of it and that we're fixing that, because I think all of that data, all that accessible information should be readily available. Thank you. That's all I have.
All right. John?
I just want to, you know, I was there for Bi-County, just want to praise our music program and all of our students that participated. Amazing. It's so good. They were so fun. So obviously I'm a proud father to my daughter participating, but all the kids were phenomenal, well run, and thank you to Laszlo for hosting. Likewise, not a school program, but Watertown Lyric Theater. I saw Dr. Stiegel there one night. We had several of our students that performed in the Watertown Lyric Theater production of Newsies, another absolutely phenomenal show. We have some very, very talented children in our city. And so kudos to them. It was phenomenal. I watched it 3 nights in a row and I couldn't take my eyes off of it. It was amazing, amazing, amazing. Congratulations to all of our athletic teams for their fall accomplishments, but I would be remiss if I did not point out one. That's Coach Burr and our 8th grade modified boys soccer team, who went 8-0.
Wow.
And did not allow a single goal scored from them all season.
Oh my gosh. That's huge.
That's huge. That's amazing. So
Wow.
congratulations. Those are going to be some boys to keep some eyes on as they move up through our program. So
That's amazing.
And then in my classroom, my government classroom, one of the things I require my students to do is to attend some sort of public meeting. And so I've got 2 young ladies here tonight, Claire and Madison, and they are highly involved in extracurricular activities. 2 of our great athletes involved in soccer and basketball. They couldn't find any other time to make it to a meeting other than tonight, and so they came to join us for the Watertown City School District Board meeting tonight. So I'd be remiss if I didn't. Spend part of the day with me and part of the evenings.
Very nice.
Thank you for joining us. And thank you, John.
Yeah. What did you think?
Well, we went to the wrong door at first.
No, okay. You think you want to run for school board someday?
I definitely sit and listen.
Very
They're
nice.
very open-minded.
See, that's a compliment.
Rushing to hear. Huh?
Great.
Here we
Thank
are. Lori.
What John said about music. Phenomenal show. I mean, that's talent. Tri County, it was awesome. Music's in my blood. I did that back in the day, many years ago myself, so it was really awesome. How you
I'm just laughing because I do not have a musical bone in my body, so it was.
So that was awesome to see and I love it.
Kelly. I'll start by saying, I think we should figure out a way for finance report not to follow the student voice. And I'm trying to keep this brief. I've talked on this for quite a bit, but I had the pleasure of attending the convention Educational Expo in Buffalo about a week and a half ago. Exceptional. I got way more of it than I thought I would. I sit on a variety of sessions over 2.5 days. Everything from school branding and image, mental health, electric buses, and effective questioning techniques for board members. And that's just the tip of the iceberg. Talked to a variety of vendors, including NSBA representatives, and the services they offer. Look forward actually if I'm able to do so attending next year.
Awesome. We'll see about getting that agenda changed. Randy.
Just as it relates to student voice, clearly one of the best moves we ever made as a board to implement student voice. It keeps us grounded, doesn't it?
Yes, it does.
And it reminds us why we're here. And if we can be serenaded at every meeting, that would be nice. It is the universal language.
Michelle was going to sing that.
That's right.
Tom can dance.
No, I don't have to skill either. No, my kids are the talented ones. They must get it from their mother.
I've got some great updates from around the district, starting with Chad Fairchild. 2 of our 6th grade classes, Mrs. Richardson's and Mr. Detome's, traveled to Knickerbocker along with their science projects to share their learning with some 4th graders there. It was a very exciting opportunity for our students to share their learning and hopefully inspire younger Knickerbocker Bears and Cyclones. Mrs. Hall's students were able to travel down to Watertown High School and work with Mrs. Babcock's students on a project a few weeks ago, and we'll be doing so again in 2 weeks. We have a group of Watertown High School students who will be pen pals with some of our Wiley students, encouraging both purposeful writing and mentoring. And lastly, I would like to thank Dr. Schmiegel for encouraging and enabling us to have a national guest speaker, Rob Howell, engage our students on the subject of vaping last week. It was very well received by our students, and I believe that it will produce a lasting impact on many of our students going forward. Jess Blair from Ohio writes in that Ohio Elementary celebrated Fall Spirit Week last week with several fun dress-up days. We celebrated Halloween on Tuesday with costumes, a parade with our families watching, and parties. We also celebrated the Day of the Dead on Wednesday with lots of colorful outfits and unique art projects. Ashley Barnhart Berto from Knickerbocker writes in that Knickerbocker students enjoyed the Halloween parade on Halloween, where we had a wonderful turnout of our families and some very creative costumes. Costume favorites were a student who had a railroad crossing homemade costume with lights that lit up, and another student who was a bowl of Fruit Loops cereal. Our PTO hosted a Halloween dance on October 27th that was well attended by many of our students and families. Students enjoyed an evening of dancing and enjoying some concessions. Finally, we had a PBIS assembly where we invited parents to attend whose child was receiving an award for being Student of the Month. Having our parents attend this event to celebrate their child was a perfect way to celebrate. Sandra Kane from North writes in October, the North PTO hosted the Harvest Book Look. Students were able to receive free books, participated in arts and crafts, listened to a story read aloud by Mrs. Stratton, the librarian at North, and eat some yummy cider and donuts. This yearly fall event is something our students and families look forward to each year. From Sherman, Terry Gonseth, writes in that Sherman staff would like to thank all parents for your ongoing support and commending you all on raising amazing children. I would like to thank all staff for the job that they do every day. You all make Sherman a safe, inviting, and safe place to have fun and learn. Thank you for the tireless work you put in daily for the children. He closes by saying, I'd also like to say well done to our students. Our students work extremely hard academically and work hard at being awesome humans. Many of our students are leveling up as readers, which is extremely important and exciting to witness. Elizabeth Maurer from pre-kindergarten writes in, Primary Project is up and running. Primary Project is a grant we received from the Children's Institute in Rochester. It has a proven track record of over 60 years across the country. Primary Project focuses on children's social and emotional health and supports greater academic success. 40% of children eliminate or reduce the social and emotional risk after 12 to 15 weeks in this project. She also goes on to say, I want to thank all of our 7 community-based organizations, leadership, and staff for 100% completion of the TCRS before the deadline, insightful and relevant data at our TCRS data chats, parent permission forms given for participation to the families for students selected. And I also appreciate Carrie Fitzgerald, our Primary Project Associate, and our collaboration with North Country Health Center, Erin Cooney, who is our mental health coordinator, for all of their efforts in the implementation of Primary Project for our 4-year-old students. It was said earlier, I believe Lynn said this, our attendance is up 3% from last year. We're at 92%. That's something that no one's going to pick up, but they absolutely should. That's a victory for everybody who works in this district, everybody who volunteers here. That's phenomenal here. The other thing, my quotes are never very intellectual. Mr. Rogers, when he was on TV, I remember this, he would tell a story when he was a boy and he would see something scary on his news. Evidently, his mother would say to him, when something bad happens, look for the helpers because you will always find people who are helping. I feel very privileged to have witnessed that firsthand not too long ago when our water supply diminished. It ultimately began with a phone call from our mayor offering the children of our district water so that they could return to school early and in a timely fashion. Relayed that message to Dr. Schmidl, who relayed it to our teachers, students, and board members, resulting in a group of the aforementioned meeting to work as a team for the greater good. So to our mayor, Jeff Smith, and all the city personnel who accommodated us in our time of need, without question, we thank you very much. And to everyone who showed up, and there's many of the members right here in this room, who gave up sleeping in on a Sunday morning, including my boss, whose truck window was shattered in the process. What was accomplished was nothing less than incredible. I look forward to more collaboration with city officials and having this continue moving forward. We have an executive session, don't we? Okay, so with that, take a motion for executive session for the proposed pending or current litigation on the medical, financial, credit, or employment history of a particular person or corporation, or matters leading to the appointment, employment, promotion, discipline, suspension, dismissal, or removal of a particular person or corporation. Can I have a motion, please? A second. All those in favor? Aye. Any opposed?